Hello, Bryan Colter here, Evolutionary Astrologer, for your horoscope report for the upcoming Aquarius full moon that happens on August 22nd. And this is actually the second Aquarius full moon we've had in a row, which is pretty rare. So I talked a lot about this archetypal field last month. Aquarius, the rebel, the revolutionary, the freedom-seeking energy as we seek more authenticity. That theme will very much be intact now, so I'll repeat some of that, but we will make some distinctions. And really, this theme of freedom, I've been talking about it all year. And the reason for that, as many of you know, we've been having this ongoing Uranus-Saturn square, which is the dominant feature of this year, at least one of them. And this is piling on to this Aquarius energy because Uranus rules Aquarius, and the other planet that rules Aquarius is Saturn in its own sign of Aquarius. So this is the year of Aquarius. Right now, during this double Aquarius full moon, we're getting kind of the top of the bell curve, or at least one of the bell curves. So the year of Uranus-Saturn, which basically is, Uranus is about evolution. Moving on to a whole new level of being. It's about freedom, authenticity, the rule breaker. I don't want any stinking rules. Saturn is the planet of rules, hence the square. Okay? It's about law and order and conformity, okay, on the more rigid, darker side of Saturn. There's beautiful qualities of Saturn too, like the wisdom that we've accrued over many, many centuries. And of course, we don't want to completely dynamite that wisdom, which Uranus sometimes wants to do, just throw a dynamite stick and say, let's blow it all up and start over again. That's a bit too extreme. And Saturn says that's too extreme. But the dark side of Saturn is impinging upon the freedoms, okay, so that we are unable to grow to a whole new level. So ideally, we balance out the square, honor some of the wisdom of the past, but also seek to break up some of those rigid structures, okay, so we can move forward. Okay, that's the dominant theme of this year and next year, hitting a crescendo now. In that video of the last Aquarius full moon, I focused so much on freedom of expression and seeking that freedom in your life. I'll not be your dancing monkey. I'm going to go in my own direction, and I'm going to develop a certain level of comfort in what I believe to be true in my own authenticity. Okay, that is still very active now. What I want to focus on actually is the fact that we're wrapping up this Leo season, okay? And of course, the sun is opposite the moon. That's the nature of the full moon. And Leo is the sign opposite of Aquarius. So I really want to focus on this polarity between Aquarius and Leo. Now, in my last video, the new moon in Leo, I talked all about it. It's about learning vulnerability through self-expression, tapping into your inner playfulness, your inner joy, your heart-centered connection with other people, practicing creativity, putting something out there that you deem beautiful, okay? Other people giving you this positive feedback, giving you some applause, so that you can tap into this field of joy. I called that video Joy Shielding. And if you can stay at that high level of consciousness, of peace and joy and comfort in what it is you want to express as you attempt to roar like a lion, it's the archetype of the lion. Okay, so that's still active today. And we're wrapping up the Leo season because this full moon happens right at the very tail end of the last degree of Leo, 29.5 degrees, I think. Okay. Leo, therefore, is all about heart. Aquarius, it's an air sign. It's on the mental plane. All air signs are on the mental plane. It's very heady in nature. It's the archetype of the genius, the archetype of the scientist, okay? Being able to think outside the box. There's that word think. So, furthermore, we also have a very powerful signature in the sky right now, which is Mars conjunct Mercury during this full moon. And what makes this powerful is that Mercury is said to be the planet that rules Virgo. And as I've said many times, whenever a planet's in its own sign, it's at maximum power. And it's given a little bit more juice or charge being in a conjunction with Mars, the war god, which tends to be very assertive, very dynamic, active energy. And Mercury, archetypally known as the messenger of the gods, it represents talking, it represents communication, okay, which is very much centered in the throat area, the throat chakra, if you will. In addition to that, it also represents thoughts, okay, because underlying communication is thought, underlying thought is perception. So in light of that, really the core dynamic of Mercury is the planet of perception. So thoughts and perception isn't so much about throat area, it's much more about head. Aquarius, much more about head, okay? So we have a lot of intelligent, heady energy here, okay? Especially for people who have a lot of dominant, air in their chart, or Virgo for that matter, okay? They're going to be feeling this more than others. But mental energy is running at a higher voltage right now. And we're trying to balance that out, not forget about poor Leo, and try to wring out as much potential as we can as we end this Leo season and find a balance point between head and heart. That's really what we want to focus on. And of course, Mercury connected to the throat as well. That's the center point between head and heart, the nexus point, if you will. So we still want to practice vulnerability through self-expression in probably a very communicative, language or writing-oriented way, typically. Obviously, I'm generalizing here because that's just the domain of Mercury. But we're doing it through joy. We're roaring like a lion, but we're doing it authentically. Okay? We're not trying to fit into cultural or family expectations. That is the connection point between Aquarius and Leo. Yes, it's about vulnerability. Okay? It's about speaking up through the Mercury piece, but not forgetting about your own level of individuality and your own particular values. And try to be comfortable with that. The rebel archetype. If you like me, that's great. If not, that's interesting. Now, we also got Jupiter conjunct this moon, this full moon here. And Jupiter's actually been in Pisces the last few months. And that's a good thing because Jupiter rules Pisces. We've been feeling the positive influences in some respects of the Jupiter in Pisces. Now it's gone retrograde. That's back in Aquarius where it'll be for most of the rest of the year. And then in 2022, it will be coming back to Pisces. So we've gotten a little snippet preview of the more positive, let's say, softened energy of Jupiter and Pisces potentials that will make its return in 2022. But now it's back in Aquarius, strengthening this Aquarian energy. Okay. Now, the, let's say, traditional or conventional astrological analysis of Jupiter is it's the lucky planet, Oh, good, the lucky planet conjunct this full moon. The planet of luck and expansion and good fortune and victories. It's all good juju and, rainbows and unicorn farts, So anyways, that's bottom line true in a lot of ways, okay? I wouldn't say it unless it wasn't worth saying. I'm poking fun at that analysis a little bit. But from the evolutionary astrology perspective, it's always inviting us to work with the planets, instead of just sitting back and in this case enjoying some good luck. So working with Jupiter actively through the evolutionary lens during this full moon is where you'll wring out as much evolutionary potential from this as possible. Working with Jupiter actively is asking yourself the question, how am I underestimating myself? Where in my life am I settling for too little? I'm due for a victory. How can I engineer one? Okay, these are questions of Jupiter, which are very positive to ask yourself now. And you want to pay close attention to where this full moon is and the Jupiter is in your own personal chart. Look for 29 degrees of Aquarius in your birth chart. Then the moon and Jupiter will be in that house. And you can, in a more exacting fashion, know where to ask those questions in a more pointed way. Where in my life am I underestimating myself? Where can I develop more faith to express my authenticity, my own inner Aquarian genius in this area of my life? In other words, where can I expand into my life that will require more faith in my own abilities to achieve that? Okay. Now, if you have the audacity to believe in yourself, that's where the magic happens. That's when the so-called lucky planet is really activated and shows up for you. Okay? Things just tend to work out. But Jupiter says, put all your chips in the middle. Make some big leap of faith, make some big bet in your life, reflected by that house it's in your chart, okay? And Jupiter says, I'll show up, I'll help you expand into this arena of your life with more of your own unique ingeniousness, Aquarius. Now, one thing we got to remember is implicit in the fact that Jupiter's conjunct the moon, it's also in a dead opposition with the sun, okay? Now, oppositions, it is a tension-based aspect, but it's not bad, okay? With evolutionary astrology, we don't use bad language. Everything within the realm of duality has an evolutionary intention, has a more virtuous expression, and has a dark side or where we can mess it up, and we all make mistakes. So we're all susceptible to this juxtaposition between light and dark, no matter what we're working with, okay? And with oppositions, it tends to be more challenging. It's not bad, it's hard, okay? It requires more sacrifice. Maybe it feels a little bit more uncomfortable or compromise or something like that to achieve that evolutionary aim. We can actually grow the most through the squares and oppositions if we're ready to do the hard work. To do what? To have that emboldened faith in ourselves. Also with oppositions, they do tend to highlight some of the more shadowy dynamics of that archetypal field. Why is that? Because the nature of an opposition is just harder. Therefore, less people statistically will be able to achieve that evolutionary intention. And if they're just letting the archetypal energy run through them randomly or haphazardly without conscious awareness of what's going on, it stands to reason, again, statistically generalizing, they'll manifest the darker expression of this. Now, with these set of energies here, the more shadowy expression of this deals with the relationship of Sun opposite Jupiter. And Sun represents our identity, our self-image, our values, our ego. Okay, and ego doesn't have to be a negative thing. I mean, we all need ego. We all need that sort of personality boundary, if you will, to a certain degree, in a healthy way. But we can also have an unhealthy ego, of course, which would be the shadow side of the sun. So egotistical. Okay, it can be the sun. All the planets orbit the sun. It can be you orbit me. That bigness. It can be very demanding. It can be controlling. Very determined as well, Also, in the sign of Leo, it can be narcissistic, because there can be this neediness, this energy, of approval that it needs and just kind of energy vampire stuff. And narcissism is a psychopathology of Leo, but it's pretty rare, actually. I'm not saying people with Leo energies are narcissists. I'm just highlighting the dark side of it, one of the darker sides. So Sun in Leo, we want to be very cautious of that word unhealthy ego or egotistical. Meanwhile, Jupiter is susceptible to excess. It's susceptible to inflation. Okay? So we take these two ideas, ego, Sun, Jupiter, inflation. Okay? Which can create some pretty, let's say, self-righteous or bombastic behavior. Okay, you will orbit me. I'm the king, because the sun is the king of the sky. Jupiter is known as the king of the gods. Sun's in Leo, known as the king of the beasts. So, we got the two biggest bodies in the solar system. So we're talking about king energy turned a little bit darker, more evil king stuff. Okay. Now, we sprinkle in a little bit of Aquarius, authentic self-expression. So we'll see a lot of this behavior in some places of the world. We want to be aware of us manifesting this, which is developing a certain sanctity or reverence for our idiosyncrasies, for our own eccentricity, for our own ingeniousness, for our own uniqueness. Okay, it's like, and there's a sort of attention-seeking energy with this. It's like, I'm only going to wear purple socks on Tuesday, because that's me. And you're walking around, with ankles forward. Look at my purple socks. I'm so cool, aren't I? And wanting that energy, wanting that to affect other people, wanting other people to notice. And this is where we get into the more needy, egotistical structure of the Leo Aquarius complex. So just be aware of the dark side. So here we are trying to find a balance between heart and head. Rest within that nexus point in the throat. And all this air sign energy, Mercury in its own sign of Virgo, so much head energy. It's a great time for beautiful ideas, and there'll probably be a bunch of those, okay? But we also got to remember, besides all this heady energy, this is a full moon after all. And during every full moon, emotions run rampant because the moon has a profound effect on our emotional world. And that's why when I'm giving a birth chart reading, I focus so much on the person's moon because it represents their own heart, their soul, their subject of reality, okay? And the reason the moon affects our emotions so much is because it affects our astral body. The astral body exists in the fourth dimension, and the fourth dimension is the world of emotions, desires, and sentiments. And the astral body, or fourth dimensional body of the moon, interpenetrates with the one of the earth, which of course we coexist in, and that's why the moon affects our emotions so much, because of the connection through the astral. Deep subject, but it's a fascinating one, okay? So we also have a lot of moon energy too, or heart, chest energy, okay? So we're all feeling a little bit more strongly now, or at least dangerous to say all of us, but generalizing here, okay? More reactive, more emotionally reactive, and all that head energy takes that ball and runs with it, because thoughts and emotions have a symbiotic relationship with each other. Of course, they can't operate separately. Every emotion has at least a little bit of thought. Every thought has a little bit of emotion. So there's a lot of reactive potential here, especially with Mars conjunct Mercury, because Mars, the war god, is very assertive, very action-oriented. Now, what I haven't talked about here much is Virgo. Virgo, the virgin archetype, which has nothing to do with sexuality, but it has a lot to do with this idea of purity. People who have a lot of Virgo in their chart have this drive or motivation, because signs are motivational, to become perfect, to become impeccable, which is a beautiful goal, as long as you realize it's an impossible standard, because perfectionism is a harsh master, okay? So Virgo people, okay, Virgo energy is susceptible to self-criticism, self-doubt. Here we have this aggressive, martial, conflict-oriented energy. I was talking to an astrology buddy of mine, and we were talking about Mars and Virgo, and he used the words self-cutting, which I thought was pretty interesting. And this isn't about literal, physical harm, self-harm, but this Virgo energy, when turned inwardly, okay, when Mars is in the mix, self-cutting, the aggressive, critical self-talk, oh, I'm not good enough, damaging yourself, self-cutting, which, of course, if you're judging yourself and what it is, your vulnerable, authentic self-expression is, if you're questioning every word before it comes out, you can't get into this place of present tense spontaneity, which will help to derail this whole evolutionary achievement of Leo Aquarius nexus point, okay? So you got to be aware of that. That's kind of the fly in the ointment here, And of course, how we treat ourselves says a lot about how we treat other people potentially, okay? So we'll also see a lot of that martial Virgoan energy projected outwardly into the external environment and becoming the shouldinator, aggressively being hypercritical of other people, okay? We'll see a lot of that too, okay? That's stating it negatively. How can we use Mars and Virgo and Mercury positively? I think I talked about this in the last video more negatively. I forgot to mention the positive, so let's do it here. Virgo, the perfectionist, comparing the actual with the ideal. Here is what is, here is what should be. Of course, that can turn into a disaster Too much worry, concern, self-doubt, self-sabotage, guilt, shame. Okay? Here's what I am, here's what I should be, oh no, I give up. Or I'll endlessly prepare rather than do. That can keep you from getting to this free flow state, which is the goal. So using it positively is, here is what I am, here's what I should be, better get on with it. And funneling that perfectionist energy into becoming impeccable while realizing that that's an impossible standard. And with laser sharp scrutiny, okay, pointedly look at, courageously look at, leveraging Mars, our own imperfections, especially within our world of thoughts, Mercury. Okay, so focusing within and trying to be make an assessment, okay, of some of your thoughts that tend to be repeating over and over again, and look to iron out those wrinkles. Virgo, okay, taking stock of your mind, Mercury, and proactively, Mars, work to perfect that a little bit more, Virgo. Now, how do you do that? Well, through self-analysis, okay? You can do it in a variety of ways. It could be something mercurial, journaling, writing. It can be through open, honest communication with, an astrology buddy of yours. You look to where Mars and Mercury is in your charts and you say, okay, well, Bryan's talking about this. How can this apply to this area of my life? And, have open-ended conversation. Mercury, the planet of conversation. One thing we want to highlight here is Mars and Mercury are in an opposition with Neptune. Okay, so some of the best breakthroughs you'll have in this regard, okay, in having a more perfect mind, and in turn raise your consciousness, can happen through Neptune, through meditative states. And actually, the meditation I'll share at the end will be strengthening these three centers, heart, throat, and head. So you can try to find a balance between the two. But you can also try meditation techniques. I've shared this one, I think, a couple times. Nightly introspection, where before you go to bed at night, you're already in a meditative state. You visualize the day you just had from start to finish and try to remember all the thoughts you've had. Okay? And with full impunity, but without praise or blame, okay? Just look with your own conscious awareness, okay? Logically, rationally, and even from a place of bravery, courageously look at the own garbage can of your psyche, because we all have it. We all have negative thoughts, okay? And work towards, through meditative states, changing those, okay? Thinking about, okay, I had a thought there that wasn't so good. Recreate that experience, have that event happen again in your mind, but then think about it and even feel about it differently, as if you were an evolved being, like Jesus incarnate or something like this. And this is how you can relive your day from start to finish and not only develop more awareness about qualities of your character you'd like to improve, but then also focus on what those improvements actually are and visualize yourself doing those things. It's called nightly introspection. It's a very Virgoan meditation, Neptune, Virgo, but it's very much focused on the thoughts, Mercury. So good evolutionary astrology questions we can ask ourselves this full moon is, where in my life can I practice being more authentically vulnerable without that sort of ego-centered attachment to applause, to reaction? Just put it out there. I am who I am. If you like me, that's great. If not, that's interesting. And with all this mental energy, another good question you could ask is, where am I too stuck on ideas and head energy that's disconnecting my heart from others? Because right now, we want to get to this more vulnerable, expressive, playful, authentic truth sayers, so we can find this perfect balance between Leo and Aquarius. And those are the core evolutionary intentions, with the goal being to expand our consciousness. Now I'm going to transition to the meditation. I use binaural beats, so for best results, use headphones. Thank you. Begin by focusing on your breath. And inhale through the nose, feel the oxygen come in. Feel all your tissues expand as you inhale. Fill up the belly and lungs. And slowly exhale. Comfortable, rhythmical pattern of in and out. And focus on your heart. Feel the beat of your heart. And coordinate the breath with the beat of your heart. Four beats of the heart per inhale, and 4 beats of the heart per exhale. Now we're going to focus on various parts of your body to help enter into a deep meditative state. So focus on the toes of your right foot. Feel like you're in your toes of your right foot. And then move the attention to the whole foot. Now focus on the right ankle, the right calf area, right knee, right thigh, and the right hip. Now focus on the left hip, left thigh, knee, calf area, left ankle, left foot. Left toes. Now focus on both of your legs at the same time and visualize a snow white color in and around both of your legs. Now focus on the pelvic floor area. And the lower back. Move up to the middle back. The upper back, right behind the heart. Shoulder blades, shoulders, move to the front and now feel your chest and rib cage. Feel it expand as you inhale. Stomach area, and lower abdomen, now move up to the right shoulder, right bicep and tricep, right elbow, right forearm, wrist, and hand. And visualize you're bringing your etheric right hand up to your face and looking at the palm of it. And visualize a red dot in the very center of your right palm. And put your etheric arm down. Move up to the left shoulder. Left bicep. Elbow. Left forearm. Wrist. And left hand. Now visualize you're bringing your etheric left hand up to your face and seeing your palm. And visualize a blue dot in the center of your left palm. Bring your etheric arm down. Now focus on the front of the neck and try not to swallow. You might have that impulse. Just focus on the neck muscles and esophagus. And wrap around to the back of the neck. Feel both ears. The back of the scalp, crown chakra, forehead, eyebrows, eyelashes, eyelids, and your eyes. Now follow the bundle of nerves going from your eyes into the center of your brain. Your nose, cheeks, chin, and mouth. Now focus on your entire body. And with each inhale, see a light kindled in your entire body, a white light. And see that white light spread throughout your entire body. Very bright. Now focus on your chest center and see a rosy ball of light in your chest cavity. And as you inhale, that rosy light grows as bright as it can. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. And in the center of this rosy light, visualize a golden sun. Looks almost like an egg yolk in the center of this rosy ball. And again, as you inhale, see this grow as bright as you can. and stimulate feelings of self-love, compassion, honoring your journey thus far, and as you visualize this pink color, think about what you're grateful for in your life. Visualize a 6-pointed golden star in the center of this rosy ball. The star represents the creation of divinity. See that star begin to vibrate with each inhale. Now move up to the thyroid and throat area. And visualize a bright orange ball right in your thyroid area. It's about the size of your fist. And again, with each inhale, see that orange ball grow as brightly as you can visualize it. You're strengthening this nexus point between head and heart. Now move your attention up to your head and see a canary yellow golden sun in and around your head. Looking as hot and as bright as the noonday sun. And again, as you inhale, brighter and brighter. As you continue to breathe deeply, say these phrases as an order to your subconscious. I want full control over my emotional body. I want to master my emotions and desires. I want full control over my thought body. I want sober and constructive thoughts to rule my life. I want to practice authentic vulnerability. My thoughts will no longer enslave me. My emotions will no longer trouble me. And my astral body is clean and vigorous. I am the master of my material body, astral and causal bodies. I feel strong and healthy in all three bodies. I am the master of my destiny.